from evildoers. Keep me safe from violent people. They are always plotting evil, always dividing us in quarrels. Their tongues are like deadly snakes, their words like a cobra's poison. Protect me, Lord, from the power of the wicked. Keep me safe from violent people who plot my downfall. The mad have set a trap for me. They have laid their snares, and along the path they have set traps to catch me. Selah. I say to the Lord, you are my God. Hear my cry for help. Save me, Lord, from evildoers. Keep me safe from violent people. My sovereign Lord, my strong defender, you have protected me in battle. Lord, don't give the wicked what they want. Don't let their plots succeed. Let my enemies be victorious. Make their threats against me fall back on them. May red hot coals fall on them. May they be thrown into a pit and never get out. May those who accuse others falsely not succeed. May evil overtake violent people and destroy them. Lord, I know you defend the cause of the poor and the rights of the needy. The righteous will praise you indeed. They will live in your presence. Save me, Lord, from evildoers. Keep me safe from violent people.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. That was Zeph Daniel original music, Psalm 140. And you can check that out on iTunes. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Porthole to Justice, the window to the truth. I am your host, Amelia Duran. And the show tonight is with Jacklyn Conrad. And we're going to be discussing it's looming, and it's just authoritarian, and it's so hard to talk about because it's just, it's like there's this, basic of the looming collectivist model being rolled out worldwide, the complete isolation of nonconformist and critical thinking individuals when it comes to, this vaccine issue. And we are on the precipice of having it a mandatory thing that people are going to be imposed on. So obviously I want to talk about this, and I wanted to have Jacklyn on because she has a lot of insight into this topic, and she's also a survivor of vaccine injury. So let's see if I can get her up. Hi, welcome.
Hi. Finally.
I know, right?
Yeah. Anyway, it's great. Couldn't be at a more timely moment. It's happening right. Just right.
I know. And I was just sort of introducing you on the show and explaining to the listeners that you yourself are a vaccine injury survivor.
This is correct. That's what got me started in the first place. It was a long time ago. I was only 22 years old, and I had a swine flu shot, and my mom talked me into it, and against my better judgment, I had this feeling in the pit of my stomach. I was pregnant with my first daughter that I should not do this, but she told me, if this baby gets sick with this flu, you get sick with this flu, or you're pregnant, you're gonna kick yourself and hate yourself for the rest of your life. You could lose her, So I was young and scared, and so I went ahead and did it. But I got so sick, Amelia. I was 7 years trying to get well. I got Guillain-Barré. My brother got Guillain-Barré as well and was hospitalized, and he, for months, couldn't walk. I myself, it was more in my chest and like my nasal area, and I would have panic attacks because I couldn't breathe. I couldn't tell I was breathing. I was so numb from my sinuses down to the rib cage. I could not feel anything, so I'd put Vicks under my nose. Thank God I lived in the Midwest, and it was cooler most of the time, except the summers were really hot. So I'd have to live with Vicks under there, so I wouldn't go into a panic attack, so I could tell I was breathing, and it was the most frightening thing. I was 98 pounds. Like I'm 124 or 5 right now. I was 98 pounds. My hair was falling out. I was so ill. I cannot tell you. And even then, see, this is kind of the story. People don't correlate. The problem with the cognitive dissonance with the people with the vaccine situation is really desperate, because they have been told since they were young that this is the greatest accomplishment. This is how we eradicated disease, which is a total lie. If you look at the real charts from the beginning, you will see that disease started going long before the vaccines were actually there, when they cleaned up the conditions of people living in squalor in the streets, defecating outdoors around their water, having filthy water situations, rats, typhoid. When all that got cleaned up is really when disease started, getting under control. Yeah. So it was living conditions. And so anyway, they used the vaccine thing, when in reality, even the Spanish flu epidemic was, they got together a bunch of these shots, and they wanted to make their little public thing and do their money thing and get rid of it. They were old, a lot of them. They combined it, and they gave it to the men who were going off to war. Well, most of them got sick before they ever even left. And then they cooked up this idea, and they said, well, Spain's a long way away. Well, we're going to say it's a Spanish flu. They'll never know. We're just going to call it the Spanish flu. And Spain hates it to this day that they did that to them, because they didn't have any such thing. So anyway, they called it the Spanish flu. The only real people that really survived well and were okay were the ones who didn't get inoculated. They were the ones taking care of the sick people. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's how vile these vaccines were, and had gone bad, I think, too. But the difference now, today, There are so many more adjuvants in the vaccines. Today, they're even worse than they were at any point, because now the heavy metals tear holes in your gut. They actually, the aluminum and the mercury and the different various carriers, they use them as adjuvants, which is what puts it into the muscle and makes it retain it longer in your body. So the whole thing is that because of these neurotoxic metals, they tear through the gut. They actually tear holes in it. And so what happens is then this stuff goes into the bloodstream, and then the holes in the stomach allow all kinds of toxins and different things to go to the brain, but particularly the stuff that's in the, the metals and the toxins and, whatever else they add. They add different male DNA to females. This is where we get the gender dysphoria going on, and where the people feel like there's something other than they are, male into female, female into male. Mm-hmm. And so they get what you call fragmented DNA. So nobody really knows how lethal this really is. And if you really, in 1986 is when President Reagan enacted and signed the bill that really basically took any kind of liability. They were worried financially. Money, they were getting bombarded with suits because of all that was happening to the people getting vaccinated. So they did this law because they literally were losing their butts. And so they did this. And it just made it horrific, because now there's not even, what I mean? They're not liable. Who gets to put out anything that goes into someone's body that isn't liable for it?
Well, and what I was saying at the top of the show, eventually they're going to tighten the noose, Jacklyn, and cut everyone off from independent, opinions altogether or options.
So we'll see, at the beginning of the Obama, his insurance thing, what was that called again? I keep it out of my mind.
That's what they're working towards.
Well, I know, but see, at the beginning, the reason why they wanted that, they wanted everybody, and this is why this Ocasio-Cortez wants, socialism, and they want you on the government assisted healthcare, because that way they can force you, they can make you do these things that none of this is legal. It is not constitutional. And not only that,
it's under the color of law. And once you submit to that, you're basically giving government the authority over your body.
Yourself, because the truth of the matter is, if you really look at it, it's called a medical exemption because you get it from a doctor. It has to be a licensed practitioner that exempts you. The state doesn't have the right. They are not licensed. They're actually going to be either doing a misdemeanor or a felony, because they do not have the right to tell people, because they are not licensed to do so. It takes a medical physician. And this is why they're coming so down hard on the physicians right now. Like this thing that my niece went to this, the court hearing with Pan the other day down there in Sacramento. And it was frightening. She said he just glared at her and stared at her. And she said it was the most vile thing. And everyone had to state their name. She said there was a lot of Russian people, a lot of Russians, a lot of Tatyanas, when they said their name, well, see, because they don't believe in that over there. It's like Melania, when she came out with, we really don't need to have all this pharmakia. We need to do natural. This is when they really attacked her, because it's true. And they're thugs. Pharma are thugs. So the thing is, they came after her. Ever since then, they have never let her alone. She was advocating for health, for being healthy and supplemental and things like that. But anyway, and look at her. She's gorgeous for her age. And so anyway, they don't realize. But what I was getting back to, I want to say about the cognitive dissonance. First I should finish. I'm getting overly excited. I'm so excited to talk about this, because the people don't understand. It's like you said, what they actually have planned for people. So let's say